Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Wednesday, January 30th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen precipitation move across the Great Basin, with the exception of the very far southern areas which have only received very minimal precipitation. Other areas have seen above normal precipitation in the higher terrain of the Sierra, into parts of Nevada, Utah, and up into southern Idaho. Over the last 3 days, any new snowfall has been confined to north and east of the Great Basin, with no new snowfall across the region. However, snow depth is still fairly healthy in all high elevation areas of the Great Basin. Looking at our current snowpack, you can see most areas, especially across the Sierra, into Nevada and Utah, and into southern Idaho, are near or just above normal for the time of year. Only areas of central Idaho and parts of western Wyoming and eastern Idaho are just below normal. Looking at the satellite loop from this morning, we have an area of low pressure off the west coast, which will move south and east over southern California into the desert southwest, and only bringing some light precipitation to far southern areas of the Great Basin. Otherwise, only some minimal cloud cover and temperatures near to just above normal are expected for the next couple of days across the Great Basin. Otherwise, a very strong and cold area of low pressure is affecting the eastern two-thirds of the country, bringing very cold temperatures and new snowfall to many of those regions. As we move into later this afternoon, this area of low pressure is located just off the San Francisco area, again largely not affecting the Great Basin, with near to above normal temperatures and lighter winds. This will also contribute to poor ventilation indices across the region, again due to the inversions in place with the lighter winds. If we look at the transport winds and mixing heights for today, you can see the light winds across the region with relatively low mixing heights. The only exception is in the far south, where mixing heights will be in the more moderate range. On Thursday, this area of low pressure moves over southern California, again bringing some light precipitation potentially to far southern Nevada, the Arizona Strip, and southern Utah, but right now amounts are not looking all that great. Otherwise, dry conditions will continue across other areas of the basin with poor ventilation indices. Mixing heights and transport winds, again, transport winds remaining light. The only exception is along the Snake River Plain, where we may see some breezy northwest winds, and mixing heights generally low, but will start increasing over parts of southern areas of the basin as that area of low pressure moves east. On Friday, a stronger system will start approaching the west coast, and this system will move across the Great Basin through this weekend, bringing colder temperatures and more precipitation to all areas. By later Friday night into early Saturday, precipitation will move into Idaho and into far western areas of the Great Basin, with cloud cover increasing further east. We will see dispersion also improve as winds increase ahead of this system over Nevada into parts of the Arizona Strip and western Utah. Looking at those transport winds, again you can see fairly gusty southerly winds in advance of that system over portions of Nevada, wind gusts likely exceeding 30 to 35 miles per hour at times. Mixing heights will also be increasing over these areas as well, and still remaining low over parts of Utah into western Wyoming, where winds will remain lighter for another day. Looking at the forecast clearing index for Utah over the next couple of days, generally low clearing indices are expected through Thursday, but we will see some improvement as we go into the weekend as that storm approaches. Forecast amount of precipitation for the next 3 days. This takes us through Saturday morning, and again much of this precipitation in the basin will start occurring over the Sierra and western Nevada and Idaho Friday night into Saturday morning, with drier conditions prior to that. As we move into Saturday, the storm system starts to move across the Great Basin, bringing precipitation to most areas. Snow levels will start out high Friday night into Saturday, with rain and valley floors over western Nevada and Idaho, but will quickly be dropping as we move through the weekend, with snow levels dropping to valley floors over parts of the northern half of the basin. Dispersion will also continue to improve across Nevada and now a little bit further east into Utah, as those gusty winds out ahead of the system spread across the Great Basin. On Sunday, this first system swings east through the Rocky Mountain area, and we have another colder system which will be dropping down from the northwest. Again, this is what will start lowering our snow levels and bringing much colder temperatures to the northern half of the basin Saturday night and Sunday. We will see, however, good dispersion generally region-wide. On Monday, this system starts to track eastward, pushing any precipitation over the eastern half of the Great Basin, with generally cool and breezy northwest winds, however drier conditions, returning to Idaho and Nevada. Dispersion with these gusty winds, again, will remain quite good across the region on Monday. This will also continue into Tuesday as that system exits. Northwest, drier, cooler flow will continue across all areas of the Great Basin with, again, good dispersion. Forecast amounts of precipitation from Sunday through Monday night. Again, you can see the amounts shown here. We will see new snowfall to all high elevation areas and even down into some valley locations as we move throughout the weekend. Right now, the heavier amounts look to be in the Sierra and over the higher terrain of Utah up into eastern Idaho. The 8 to 14-day outlook, which takes us into the early part or mid part of February, shows still much colder temperatures expected over the western half of the U.S. as we move through the middle of the month, with above normal precipitation over southern and eastern areas and more of a drier signature up in the northwest. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Friday for the latest update.